Stock2Flow. Man, it's been a while since any of us paid attention to Stock2Flow. But Plan B, still sticking with it. Okay, a lot of people thought that Stock2Flow has been invalidated because this last time around, this last peak, we didn't hit $100,000. We should have hit $100,000. You could argue if the Fed didn't start talking about rate hikes in November, that we could have. We had 1 full month for Bitcoin to go higher, right? But then he started talking about rate hikes end of November, and that kind of scared everything, scared everyone away. So then, everything started coming down in December. But, maybe we could have had 100K. But anyways, a lot of people feel like because we didn't have 100K, the Stock2Flow got invalidated. And also we went pretty low this time around. But you can see we're climbing right back up into that deep blue region, which is really good, right? Generally speaking, that's where Bitcoin hovers. It rarely hovers below that blue region for long periods of time. But this time we did. It's okay. Well, we had a lot of black swan events too, keep in mind. 2022, we had a lot of companies go under. But now we're coming right back up. And this time around, let's see where Bitcoin heads. According to this, Bitcoin could be heading to $1 million by the end of 2025, leading into 2026. Do I think Bitcoin is going to hit $1 million? Probably not by the end of 2025. But, if it happens, awesome. And then we'll know for sure if the Stock2Flow is still intact. So, but that's where we are right now. What else is there? Here's another one. Awesome. I know you guys love your inverted charts, but, again, a lot of chartists will tell you head and shoulders, one of those patterns, very recognizable, right? And if you look at this, yeah, we definitely have two shoulders and a head and then that neckline, and you know what, we're about to break down. But in this case, what it's representing is we are going to break upwards towards $70,000 towards our high. Somehow, again, you invert a chart, it looks more believable because if we had an inverse head and shoulders, people just don't quite want to believe. They're like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to break above. Everyone is so hesitant about Bitcoin breaking above, but everyone and their mothers will say, well, it's going to break down, right? Well, let's just invert the chart. This does look like it's going to break down all the way to $70,000. That's what it's looking like. All right. Galaxy Digital believes that as soon as we get a spot Bitcoin ETF, we will start seeing money flow in. And within the first year alone, Bitcoin will pump 74%. Okay, that would take Bitcoin above 59,000. That's not all-time high yet. 69,000 is all-time high. So even with a 74% increase, we're still relatively low. So that just shows you it's still very, very early. Very early indeed, right? Just to get back to our previous high, and then we got so much more to look forward to. The top, there's no top. It's infinite. Bitcoin could go as high as it wants to. There's no ceiling in terms of how high Bitcoin could head. But yeah, this is just the beginning. Obviously, I talked a lot about, spot Bitcoin ETF approvals. One will get approved soon enough, okay? So then we don't have to speculate. We will actually see and witness how much money flows in to the space and how high Bitcoin will get. But there is something else. This other indicator that some traders are looking at, okay, that could drive Bitcoin even higher. But what is that? Well, ex-co-founder of BitMEX, he believes this is a trigger, okay, not specifically the indicator, but this is a trigger for Bitcoin. And it's not spot Bitcoin ETF, okay? I know that's been widely said and used already, but he believes it's due to the war. This flight to quality that's been kind of spread around recently. To quote him, if long-term U.S. Treasury bonds offer no safety for investors, then their money will seek out alternatives. Gold, and more importantly, Bitcoin will begin rising on true fears of global wartime inflation. that is true, especially in countries that are in the fight. They're limited in terms of what they can access, what they can withdraw, what they can buy, and also they deal with hyperinflation because everything obviously becomes super expensive, right? And it's not just them, it's their neighboring countries and other countries that are affected by what they export. So it all kind of relates, right? And inflation will definitely go higher. And when inflation goes high, you don't want to have a lot of cash. You want to hold assets that outperforms inflation. So war could actually be good for Bitcoin. Not that it's good for the entire world or anyone in general, but this flight to quality, even BlackRock, Larry Fink said that, flight to quality is a real thing, and more people are paying attention to it. And more importantly, in some instances, it's like the only thing that they could flight to. When you're in a decimated area or a country, where do you go all of a sudden get gold from? It's kind of like one of those situations. And if you look at this, inflation, obviously we talk a lot about inflation. I talk a lot about inflation, right? But if you look at the inflation of the world right now, as it stands, still very, very high. North America, us in the US, we're a little bit lower, but still, we're still like 4.6% versus sub 2% from before. And then you look at Asia and Europe, still in the 6s. The average for worldwide is 7, but the Middle East now about 13%. It'll probably climb much higher because of the war. Latin America is already 13%, and Africa is at 15%. Inflation has been entrenched, and I don't think it's going to go away. There's so many things that are so much more expensive. I don't think we'll ever see pre-COVID levels. Again, when you're suffering from inflation, you want to protect your wealth, protect your buying power, and there's no better way to do it than to buy Bitcoin. That's a big catalyst. That's something that not a lot of people are talking about, but it's a big catalyst. So a lot of traders looking at the weekly moving average, the 200 weekly moving average, and if we close above it, generally speaking, it's very, very good. Right now, we're way past it. We blew past it, but we have still several days left before the end of this month. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 days left. If we can break it and hold above and have a great monthly close, well, that would be very, very good. So if you look at 2019, that was the point when we broke out from bottom. We hit a low of 3,100, then we broke up to 14,000. Then we kind of trended down to about 10,000, but unfortunately we broke below again. Again, that point in 2020, there's a big asterisk because everything went down because of COVID. If it was not for COVID, we would have stayed above, trended upwards, and then, of course, even with that, we broke above and then we went to 64,000, right? So right now, it's one of those times where we tried to break above back in June, didn't work. We have broken above again, and now if we can hold and break above, it'll be very, very good leading up to the halving event and beyond. So looking forward to that.